Oh, these mountains are just incredible. I can't believe we're in the Alps right now. How does it feel to be among maybe the best mountains in the world?
They're not the best mountains in the world, although it feels incredible to be here.
These are not the best mountains in the world? What?
No, I've seen better, like the Karakoram, the K2 in Pakistan, in Nepal, Everest. They're much more huge and majestic than Swiss Alps. Swiss Alps are much smaller, but they're much better developed.
You're the first person I think I've ever heard who was underwhelmed by the Swiss Alps.
No, a lot of people you meet in Pakistan, even if you go yourself, you will agree that those mountains are much more huge and they have a personality that when you look at them, you get overwhelmed. That, oh my god,
Wow.
where am I?
You're definitely repping Pakistan really well. Welcome to Geneva, Switzerland. This city is the home of scientists, bankers, and diplomats, which is probably how you've heard of it before. Najiha was living in her homeland of Pakistan, but then her husband got one of those fancy jobs that required relocating right here to Geneva in Switzerland. So let's hear a little bit more of her story. Hi, how's it going? Good, so nice to meet you. The Rhone River is beautiful. How long have you been here for?
We've been here for around 9 months now. My husband got a job over here, so we moved. And I already had an online job, so I just took like 3 days off and we shifted our lives.
That is impressive to be able to move across the world taking only 3 days off of your job.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of the perks of being remote and being able to manage your schedule flexibly.
That's awesome. Well, I could walk along the Rhone River all day, but I was thinking perhaps we should get a car and go for a little drive and see some of the famous mountains of this area. What do you think?
So there's this peak called Mont Blanc, which combines 3 countries. It's in Switzerland, it's in France, and it's in Italy, right in the middle of the border. So it would be a fun thing to explore that.
Well, I would very much like to go and see that.
Okay, let's get to it.
Najiha, thank you so much for bringing me here.
How do you like the place?
Yeah, this is just beautiful. I mean, I can't believe we're sitting here nestled in the Swiss Alps, or I suppose the French Alps, because we've crossed the border, haven't we, into
Yes.
France?
You can still call it Swiss Alps.
You live in Switzerland
Yes.
now, but you haven't always lived there. Tell me your journey.
So I live in Pakistan. I've been born there
Whereabouts in Pakistan?
in Lahore.
Oh, busy.
Yes, yeah. So Lahore is a very hustling, bustling city, full of people, full of traffic, full of pollution at times lately.
So you must have been really happy when your husband got posted to Switzerland then. I mean, this place is paradise.
Yes, it was actually a choice. My husband had 2 options. One was in Abu Dhabi and one was in Switzerland. So I was obviously tilted towards Switzerland because I wanted to experience living here.
How do you compare a typical person from Lahore and then to a typical person from Geneva?
People in Pakistan in professional environments are used to the grind. We would work 16 hours a day. We would get the job done no matter what, no excuses, because that's how we are trained. Even while we were studying, we would have pressure management classes, stakeholder management
a class in
classes.
pressure management?
Yes, we would have projects with, how to handle bosses, and it would feel like we are in a pressure cooker all the time. And they're just boiling us to see how we can take it. And the person who used to get it done despite all the obstacle came out first. Now when we come to Geneva, as compared to Lahore, the workload is very balanced. People don't take so much pressure. The deadlines are not so stringent. Work-life balance is of utmost importance. So we've been taught to give it all away. But over here, we realize that there's another side to the coin. There's a way to work and earn more and still, get to do everything that you like. Your job doesn't necessarily have to define you.
It's interesting because what you're describing, you're still a high performance person who loves to work hard and get results, but you're no longer that boiling lobster. You're someone with more agency and control.
Yes, that's true. And that gives us ample time to travel. Traveling is one of our passions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we try to finish the job early and, make the most of it while we are living here.
So talk to me a bit about your work history. What's your background? What's your qualifications?
I've done a master's in business administration with majors in banking and finance. And before that, I've done bachelor's in accounting and finance, double majors. But
You're
incidentally,
a very accomplished person.
I am glad you think so. But, initially I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to pursue PhD and go into the research side because research is my strongest suit. But my instructors pushed me towards the corporate world, telling me that, in the past 40 years, there have only been 3 financial theories that people brought forward. What new will you bring? So
It's a pessimistic view, but perhaps the end justifies the means.
Yeah, he was himself a PhD in finance. He was like, go to the corporate world.
Are you glad that you took your professor's advice to go into the corporate world?
I think yes, everything that we choose works out for the best eventually. So you're glad that, someone at that time pointed you in the right direction. I worked for a couple of years as strategy manager for a business process outsourcing firm, which was headquartered in the US, and they had back offices in China, Philippines, and Pakistan. I was very happy there. The learning prospect was great, but when we moved to Qatar, it worked well while we were in Pakistan. But when my husband was moved to Qatar on a project, then we realized that, it's peanuts what we are earning and we need more. Living anywhere else and earning in Pakistani currency is absolutely not workable.
Yeah, it's so often the way, isn't it, that a lot of companies that are hiring people overseas are seeing it as an opportunity to make a buck by paying them the local value and not the global value. Did you ever consider giving up your career, or did you, were you concerned that you might have to?
No, it was never an option for me because in Pakistan, it's a very labor-intensive country. We are trained to study, to be professional, to, make something out of ourselves. So the way I've been brought up, I've always only focused on studying and building myself up.
So when you were looking for another job at that time, you're working for a remote company, you're moving to Qatar, you've realized, oh my goodness, I can't afford to pay for things.
Yeah.
What did you look for? What were you seeking?
I was looking for something that pays well, that I can add value to, that is sticky in the long term for me. It's not a scam, it's not temporary, it doesn't change with the wind. So that's when I found Crossover and I applied and it worked out.
So tell me about your job. What's your job title?
So it's Sales Development Representative at Trilogy. So Trilogy is the central company and they have 120 plus products which they've acquired through multiple different business units, and Trilogy is responsible for renewing all the customers that are using those softwares. So it's like a central hub. I did not have much sales experience, but I had the minimum requirement that they had because I had been doing strategy and planning. The way I look at things, I would delve deep into what a department is doing, how it's doing, get into their shoes, and then figure out what we can do to improve. So I figured that, let's give it a try.
You were describing that the pay was the biggest reason to move on. So how did that compare?
It was like 4 times more than my pay in Pakistan.
Oh my goodness, that's absolutely wild.
Yes, and it was a step down for me professionally, but a step up for me in terms of money, flexibility and everything. So I figured I'll get into this company and then I'll show them I'm capable of more until I'll get promoted.
Yeah, you're a hard worker. Were you always the hardworking brainiac of your family?
I am not hardworking, I am intelligent. I work smart. That's like tooting your own. But I work smart, I pick concepts very easily. Instead of doing things that I would normally do myself, but it would take a lot of time, I would use AI as a shortcut and do more tasks in less time and achieve more. I spent some time thinking about how it can be integrated into the things that I am doing. If I have to define myself, I am a much better innovator because I have the ability to think outside the box. So when you're planning for something big or when you're preparing something new, I can add very valuable insights based on the research that I do. So I think I can do much more than what
Yeah.
I'm doing right now.
That's a big thing to be able to say. And you mentioned artificial intelligence. That is definitely the kind of person who is going to find that they are not out of a job in the age of AI because you're able to innovate new solutions and find opportunities.
That's true. AI shouldn't be looked at as a threat. More, it should be looked like as a tool to make you accomplish something that you'd been doing redundantly much faster.
Well, I can see exactly why you've succeeded so well in your career. That level of adaptability, that mindset, that whole work smarter, not harder ethos. Those are definitely the tools for success. What would you say to someone who's in the position that you were in 5 years ago? They're living in their home country, they've got big dreams, big goals, they're not sure what to do about it, and perhaps they've never even considered the possibility of a global remote career.
I would encourage them to opt for it as early as possible. Visiting different countries, getting that kind of exposure, meeting people from different backgrounds, it opens up your brain to possibilities that you wouldn't have otherwise considered while living in Pakistan and meeting the same people. So if you want your horizons to be broad, you have to step out of your comfort zone. And yes, Pakistan is currently facing a decline in its currency. So anywhere other than Pakistan, if you step out to earn, you'll do better for yourself.
Fantastic. Well, what's next for you?
I'm expecting.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You hold it very well. How far along
Thank
are you?
5.5 months.
Wow, so soon. This is your first, right?
Yes, this is my first. After having a happy and healthy baby, I am going to look for other options in strategy, in maybe marketing within Trilogy and switch up. That's the hope for now.
Well, I see bright things in your future. I also see crying things in your future.
Yes, that's true.
Well, thank you so much, Najeeha. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for bringing me here.
Thank you so much for coming here. It's been a very good opportunity.
Take care.
Take care.